Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for telling my sister her son is only special to her. AITA for telling my 29F husband, 34M, not to call his ex-wife his wife? AITA for telling my F24 mod, F23, I hated my bachelorette party and having another one without her? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for telling my sister her son is only special to her. I, F26, have 3 older siblings. This is about my oldest sister Abby, F37. Abby has a son, 5, and I have a daughter, 1. Abby dealt with years of fertility issues and had probably 10 plus miscarriages. Then she had her son, and of course, he was Abby's miracle rainbow baby. We were so happy for her. But then it leads to Abby spoiling her son and letting him get away with everything because he's a miracle and he's special. Everyone has always bit their tongue when it comes to her son because of that. On Saturday, I had my daughter's first birthday party. It was mostly family and a few of my close friends were invited. I invited Abby and her son because everyone else in our family was invited, so I felt bad excluding her. We had different activities for the kids to do. Abby's son didn't like any of them. He was upset none of the presents were for him. He didn't want to eat any of the food we had. He then decided to try and push the cake off the table because apparently, he was mad the cake wasn't his. I got super upset at Abby for allowing her son to act that way. She went on to say her son is special. I said her son is only special to her, which is understandable. But to everyone else, he's a spoiled brat, which shouldn't be overlooked because he was your special miracle baby. Abby called me a B*TCH and left crying. A few family members have since called me an AH because I've never dealt with a miscarriage, so I don't understand how painful it was for Abby to deal with years of that before her son. It's not that I don't realize her son is special to her, but it doesn't give the excuse for Abby to allow him to act like a spoiled brat. So, I have dealt with multiple miscarriages and do understand the pain. Still NTA. Same, hugs. Op's sister is not the only one this happens to. I think the stats are something like 1 in 4 pregnancies. It can be tragic and traumatic and something that never leaves you. It's also something that lots of people can't or won't talk about, which causes its own issues. It's still no excuse for raising an entitled child that no other person can stand to be around. It could be setting the poor child up for a difficult life and a difficult life for those around him. NTA, and you are 100% correct. While he is her miracle baby, no one else in the world is going to coddle him except her, and she is raising him to be a spoiled entitled brat, which will only bring him issues later in life. He needs some manners and discipline, and your sister needs a wake-up call. What is she going to say to the police when he gets arrested for his bad behavior? But officer, he's my miracle baby, he didn't mean to steal/assault someone/whatever stupid thing he did because he thinks he can get away with it. It's better she realize this now than when he's older and there are real-life consequences to his actions. Imagine him telling his teachers that he doesn't have to write the assigned essay, he's special. Or telling his boss that his mom had 10 miscarriages before he was born so he doesn't have to work on Saturday. NTA. Being a rainbow baby isn't an excuse to be terrible. Your sister is neglecting parenting her child because of the difficulty in having him. That's a road to disaster. A strong wake-up call was needed. Agreed. I've suffered several miscarriages and would never tolerate any of my kids acting like that. Kids need boundaries to help them feel safe and to teach them social norms. Letting him run riot is setting him up for failure now and in the future. OP is NTA and her sister is making her own life harder. NTA. Stop inviting her places where your kid will be. Keep that aggressive kid away from your infant/toddler. You are correct. Her allowing this behavior will escalate to the point where no one will want to be near him or her. A miscarriage doesn't allow for oh well he's special and gets a free pass at being an NTA. Y'all did well to not crush her moment, but the kid's 5. It's time to start crushing those moments when he wants to push your child's birthday cake to the floor. AITA for telling my 29F husband, 34M, not to call his ex-wife his wife? So my husband, Daniel for privacy, and I have been married for just under a year and I love him very much. He has an 8-year-old daughter, Jane for privacy, from his previous marriage who I love as my own. He's always been respectful and patient, which is part of why I decided to marry him. We met right before the pandemic when he had been recently widowed the year before, so we tried to take things slow. We ended up quarantining together and after 3 years we decided to tie the knot. The wedding ceremony was everything a girl could dream of and we've honestly had very few issues in our first year as a couple. It wasn't until we went to pick up Jane from her summer camp that I started seeing an issue. I went to meet up with him at the front desk. I found him chatting with the camp coordinator, which is all well and good until I overheard what he was saying. He mentioned that my wife made me this jacket actually, she was really good at all that sewing stuff. He was referring to his ex-wife, Alyssa for privacy, not me. It bugged me a little but I brushed it off as a one-time thing, an accident. We don't talk about Alyssa much unless we're around Jane, and even then he usually refers to her as Jane's mom. I never heard him call her his wife, especially now that we were married. It wasn't until a week or two later that I learned he does this a lot. We were at a get-together with some friends from work, my first time meeting them. It was all good until one of them asked me questions about baseball. I admitted I didn't know much about the sport and he said that was weird because Daniel had mentioned I was really good at the game and even played some in college. It left me very confused. After talking to some more guys I found out this was a common issue. A lot of them thought Alyssa and I were the same person because Dan called us both his wife. At this point I got really offended. We had been married for 10 months and he didn't even call Alyssa his ex-wife yet. I was super awkward and explaining to people that he still called his ex-wife his wife was utterly humiliating, especially the amount he does it, not just 1 or 2 people but the whole office. When we got home we fought. He said he didn't even think about it that way, that since he never divorced Alyssa he never stopped thinking about her as his wife. He still stands by the fact that Alyssa is his wife. Despite how embarrassing it is to explain to people that I'm not his second wife, but rather his new wife and Alyssa his ex. I told him that if he wasn't ready to move on then he shouldn't have married me. If he can't commit to being my husband then he shouldn't get to call me his wife. I spent the next night at my sister's house ignoring his calls. We recently started to smooth things over by not talking about them, but I can tell that this is going to be a sore spot in the marriage I am trying so desperately to save. YTA. She's not his ex. He is her widower. There is a whole world of difference between a marriage that ends in divorce and a marriage that ends in the death of one of the partners. If you can't cope with the fact that he can love both you and his late wife, then you shouldn't have married him. You are completely at fault here. I totally agree with everything, except he could probably say late wife. This is only because it's starting to genuinely confuse people in his life. I'm going back and forth, but I think ESH. You have to stop saying ex-wife. They didn't divorce. You just have to stop using that term. However, she is his late wife and you both need to start using that term to refer to her. It's disrespectful of you to call her his ex, and it's disrespectful of him to talk about her in a way that makes people think you and her are the same person. She is his late wife, you are his current wife. It's not that complicated. All those ex reference made me think I missed a part of the story where he married again and divorced lol. YTA. Alyssa is not his ex-wife. It's his late wife. If you don't want to have to deal with a late wife and a man's past, don't marry a widower with baggage and try to erase a part of his life. I understand her. In a way he should be more straight so people understand that it is his dead wife he is talking about, but that is more in communication issue he might have. She is his late wife, not his ex-wife. AITA for telling my F24 mod F23 I hated my bachelorette party and having another one without her. I'm F24, getting married next week, and my sister, F23, is my MOH. This weekend we had my bachelorette party and we originally agreed that all bridesmaids, my best friend, F25, and 3 close friends, M24-27, would organize it. But I later found out that my sister excluded everyone else because it should be the MOH job and just showed up with a fully booked plan before the others could even start discussing ideas. The whole party was supposed to be a surprise, but I expected that we'd be doing something that they know I'd enjoy. Unfortunately, my sister pulled up to some sort of spa and planned to get nails done and some face masks and stuff like that. Afterward, we had a private photo shoot with lots of dresses for me. I mean, they were gorgeous, but not something I'd ever feel comfortable in. We ended it with a dinner at a fancy restaurant where she pre-ordered dishes that had meat in it. I'm mostly vegan and she knows that. All of those were cool ideas, and I'm sure many brides would enjoy a bachelorette like that. Hell, I'd plan one exactly like that for my sister or best friend, but it's just not me. I told her that I hated it, but I appreciate that she clearly put a lot of effort and money into the day. The others knew I would like it, so they planned another party yesterday, and that one couldn't have been better. We had a medieval dinner at a castle and they booked a cinema where we played video games and drank cocktails the whole day. But we excluded my sister, and now she's really mad. In fact, my whole family is mad for having a second one and not being grateful for the one my sister planned for me. I can understand she's hurt and I feel horrible, so I consider repaying her the money she spent, but I'm not apologizing for my interests. Shouldn't a bachelorette party be for the bride? And I was just honest when she asked me if I liked it. Even though I do feel like I'm being an ungrateful asshole because she clearly put lots of effort into planning the day. So any thoughts? Issue resolved. Read my comment, please. Edit, it's MOH in the title. I don't know why I typed that wrong. Edit 2, since many asked. I did not choose her as MOH. It's family tradition that the sister takes that role and everyone assumed she would be, and I just went with it to make them happy. The second party was secretly planned by my friends after my sister told them she had a plan that was fully paid for without considering ideas or opinions from the others. I didn't call her to join us because the fight over the first party was a few hours prior and I knew that she does not understand my interests. So I didn't want her complaining or us fighting. English isn't my first language, so I'm sorry for using wrong words. Mostly vegan, I don't eat meat/fish, but I make exceptions for things like eggs/cow milk and desserts, sauces, etc. If I'm eating somewhere that doesn't have vegan options, or it would be too inconvenient for the host to provide them. Yes, my sister knows that. I'd plan one exactly like that for my sister. So your sister planned exactly the bachelorette that your sister would want. Not what you would want. NTA. Also, IMO, you need to fire her as MOH, and probably as a bridesmaid, because I'd bet a pretty penny that after feeling snubbed by the bachelorette situation she will cause drama if she's allowed to make a speech. You also will need to tell the DJ to cut the mic off if she ever gets her hands on it. ETA, you also shouldn't feel guilty about the effort she spent planning. She spent that effort so she could have a day she would enjoy. All her reward is in the stuff she got to do that day, and she is entitled to nothing else. NTA. Your sister seriously does not know what you are into and what you eat. Sounds like she planned it for herself, not for you. She planned it without asking you what you want. Glad the one your friends organized was better. Sadly, I think your sister is going to be sore about this for quite a while. She technically does know what my preferences are and what I eat. We had enough fights about that growing up, but she never really understood my interests, so I guess she didn't really think about it. I would love to know what a vegan medieval dinner looks like. I'm also not sure what mostly vegan means. NTA, your sister planned her own hen party. Also, it's not that hard to book a spa and a restaurant. Barely much effort there at all, and clearly no thought into what you as a person would want. I'd just tell the family, am I meant to be thankful that she clearly doesn't know me? Not respects my diet or my friends' input? I'd honestly also demote her from being MOH at the very least. You're now the second person that told me to fire her from being MOH, and I'm really starting to consider it. I would not want her anger ruining my wedding. I'm just not the confrontational type, so telling my family that is gonna be rough. Thank you for the advice though. Your sister messed up, but I don't understand why she wasn't invited to the second party? Unless you were planning on keeping it a secret, this was bound to cause friction. If she'd have been invited, she would have understood what it is that you enjoy, surely? Side note, isn't a medieval dinner mostly neat? ESH. Your sister should have tailored this to what she knows about your interests. If she just ignored that completely, she doesn't look good. But you told her you hated it? Why did you have to do that? You really just had to have another one to make up for, what? An expensive celebration on your honor that you didn't enjoy as much as you would have enjoyed something else? What planet are you on? NTA. Like the other people in the comments have said, she planned a day for herself, not for you. Not only that, but she also in doing so showed a very clear disregard for your wishes, dietary preferences, and just overall personality. You told her you didn't enjoy it, you had a party that you wanted to have. Has your family told you why they're siding with your sister on this one? Maybe she has told them a version of events that doesn't really add up with what actually happened.